Good evening, guys. We got another episode of Strat Chat coming with you. We got a really special guest. We got Fulbright coming from the Shadowlands Alliance. He's definitely been up there for a long time, and he's got probably the most high end alliance in the game. I would imagine with the most high end players and such, with Ti there and PvP Elite and all that going down the line. So thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Hey man, I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it was one of those when Pill shouted it out. He's like, "You got to do one with Fulbright." I was like, "Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do." Yeah, so I just went through my first territory wars up there in the stratosphere, and it was definitely a different experience. But man, it was really cool actually. Like I just
Yeah,
just in one TW, I think I learned a lot in terms of counters and modding and that kind of stuff. I was pretty
yeah.
surprised.
I think that's one of the things that kind of gets lost. People that have never done it at the higher levels is there's so much emphasis on proper modding, and uh, I guess like the average person that doesn't, especially if you're not playing in one of the 350 plus million guilds or whatever, you see all these videos on YouTube showing these different counters and so forth. And where the strategy really gets changed a lot at the high end is basically everybody's trying to come up with a way to stop the known counters. So it's not just modding your offensive teams appropriately, it's doing little bitty tweaks to your defense that will frustrate or slow down the quote unquote known counter. And it gets very specific and very tedious sometimes. But then when you can frustrate that known counter, I mean, basically it wins you a lot of territory wars. And if you don't see it coming from your opponent, you're going to lose a lot of territory wars. So it's more of a group effort too. It's not just like, well, you've got like 10 or 12 like really monstrous players in this guild, and everybody's kind of like, rallying together. It all 50 people have to be on point with the modding, or two or three guys can lose you a really close war. If when you start looking at the comparisons between a bunch of these top end guilds, there's not a whole lot that separates them. Everybody's got pretty much the same mod depth. Everybody's got pretty much the same, gear levels and so forth. So it really comes down to just that little chess match of what can you throw out there to frustrate your opponent just to get them to drop enough banners to win. And it can be. I know our guys, work on it like today is the first day of the territory battles. So we always call TB week, TW prep week. So they go back to the drawing board looking at who they think their next opponent might be. Then they start looking at how they kind of have their mods, what we know about them, what counters that they prefer to use, and then go from there. So you say, okay, well, if we're going to face, Guild A in the next territory war, well, they really like to use this Jedi team versus SLKR, for example. Well, what can we do to really frustrate it? What's the weakness of that team that we can exploit somehow by tweaking some little mod aspect in the SLKR team? Well, like for example, if they can't kill or if they can't kill like the Red Trooper in one shot, it disrupts the whole thing. If they can't kill Hux in one shot right out the bat, it frustrates the whole thing. So how do we do that? Are we going to use crit avoidance arrows? What happens if you take it all defense sets on this particular tune, and then it's just all week long testing things, trying to come up with something that's going to frustrate the opponent. And I think that for the average player, that's probably not something they would really enjoy doing, but they can always get the benefit of it, if they're in a guild that does that. So you may not be the guy that wants to do all the testing, but boy, it sure helps you with your grand arenas and all this other stuff if you can figure out those little tweaks that really affect everything.
Well, one of the things I noticed, just because I got to spectate on one territory war and then I participated in the second, and being able to go in and watch everybody streaming those counters and the battles and sort of, it's I noticed that immediately my GAC prep number one got better, and I was never someone who didn't put a lot of prep in. Like I was always looking at the mods and counters and how they fail and what kind of player they are and going around. But now when it was going to the territory wars and it was becoming a big group thing, I noticed there was a couple of like little things I could do to my defense that would make two teams better, without the detriment of the other ones. And that was something that it was weird because it was like a little door opened in my head, whereas I'd never like been one to not prepare for my GAC, but just seeing some of the ways that people were going about things, on that frustrating of the opponent, like opened a different way to look at it. It was like another dimension to setting defense and planning out your opponent in GAC. So I could see it totally like translated down, and that was
It does.
and that was something like I kind of knew it was there, but I like it was something that I underplayed the value of until I saw it. And then I was like, oh, holy shit! No wonder I was like
Yep.
asking these players for advice, because they're seeing it differently than I was just actually seeing it.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that you mentioned like the streaming aspect. I don't know how many alliances do exactly what we do, but each alliance really kind of has like their top guild or whatever. That's kind of like in Shadowlands. We've taken the TIs joined us, and we've kind of merged in to create this one guild. Or actually, it's two guilds. We call it. I say one guild. There's 100 of us, and we're kind of interchange as needed. But we kind of consider ourselves like the tip of the spear,
Yeah.
right? So we see everything that the people at the other guilds at the top are doing, and then we develop our own stuff, and then we try to basically let all that information roll downhill, so it gets spread to all of our other guilds, especially in our alliance, so they can utilize it themselves to stay competitive, be ahead of the curve. And it translates to GAC. And one of the ways that all that information gets utilized is by how we like to stream. You were here, you got to see a couple weeks of it, where we have a bunch of people that'll just hop into these channels and say, hey, I'm getting ready to stream my GAC, or I'm getting ready to do a couple territory war battles. And people will hop in and watch and learn and see their successes and their mistakes.
Yeah.
And then if something doesn't go as planned, the first thing people say is, why did that happen? And then it becomes like a Sherlock Holmes mystery to figure out, well, what was different about this particular squad that frustrated the normal counter from working. And it really helps everybody.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you find that one thing that frustrated it. Now you've got 400 people going, okay, well, now my next opponent, does he have this particular character or squad modded this way? And that's the first thing they look for, is the newest trends. And if you can stay in, and especially if, you don't have to be an 8 million GP plus player, you can be a 5.5 million player. Just getting that information keeps you 30 days, 45 days, 60 days ahead of your competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where it really comes to play. But everybody out there, if you're in a guild or alliance where people aren't interacting and sharing their gaming experience, you're really missing out on that. It makes the game not only more fun, but it honestly makes it in a way kind of easier, because you're getting exposed to so many things. And not to disparage any prominent YouTubers,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of these counter videos and, oh, check this out. And then, you look at what they're using it against, and it just doesn't translate well into the real world, especially in high level GAC or territory war. It just doesn't translate.
Especially sometimes with the character usage, like you're like, well, it steals from this squad, this squad, this squad, and this squad, and then the way you kind of need those for other counters that are important, and it becomes a little bit strange with that. So when I see something that doesn't steal from squads that I feel are kind of necessary to go together, then it becomes like there's something there.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. That's the truth. Man, I'll tell you another aspect that a lot of people, in my opinion, have a tough time with. And it goes back to modding, but everybody, regardless of the size of your account, has a limited amount of mods.
Yeah.
I don't care if you've got, the best mods in the game, you're still going to find you're struggling to do something.
Yeah.
And as it goes down, the struggles get more and more. What I find, especially in GSE and a lot of the territory wars, territory wars where we face opponents that don't put in the high level effort, is it seems like there's a lot of players that get stuck in this trap where they get a team modded a certain way and then they just forget it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they move on. And whenever something new comes along, they're not willing to alter that old team in any way, form, or fashion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the biggest mistake I think players fall into. You should be willing to unequip every mod you've got and redo it based upon who your opponent is. Because, I fell into that trap for a long, long, long time. This was before we had all the Galactic Legends and stuff, but I had this really awesome, I had this mod set on my Phoenix squad, and it always got me holds. It never failed. People would drop battles against it in GAC, and I refused to touch the mods on it. And then one day I absolutely had to.
Yeah.
And it's caused this chain reaction where suddenly I remodded my entire roster, and then suddenly I didn't need that squad anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I had actually improved everything across the board, and I thought, man, I was really kind of stupid to sit there and let that one team dictate mediocrity for all these other squads. But I think a lot of people get into that habit. Oh, I'm not going to touch my Grandmaster Yoda, or I'm not going to, whatever tune it may be, or squad. Oh, I got my Vader just right. I'm not touching it. You have to be willing to adapt almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
If not sometimes on a daily basis, depending on what you're doing.
Well, it's really funny because I enjoy the aspect of like the modding as well as like strategy against in GAC and stuff. So I'll spend a lot of time just poking around, figuring out things, trying things out. There are a couple teams that I absolutely haven't basically touched. But the thing that I've noticed just specifically in like the last 2 weeks, I've probably remodded things more in the last like 2 weeks than I have in like months, because instead of just like, oh, I've got a new mod, let me find that, and then mods start trickling around like one at a time. Now I'm going like, okay, I need to change the focus of this character. The way they're telling me to mod it is actually awesome. Like that's the way I should keep him modded, just for all gameplay modes, and then move from there. With the rest of the team, if it needs to be temporary or not. So I started like moving things around, and like you find awesome mods that are sitting on like bad characters somewhere where you're like, I don't even use this character anymore, and he's got this like 19 speed defense primary defensive cross. Like I need that on somebody. Like that shouldn't have been there. Damn it.
It should have never been there. That's exactly, and So but you have to almost be around a culture of it.
Yeah.
Where it's almost like an internal competition where, of course, like the way we do it, we have, mod compliance for territory war and stuff. And, there used to be back in the day, you had these tedious spreadsheets and all these mod templates saying, okay, well, this is exactly how you have to do it. Well, now you've got bot commands that'll just look at your roster and say, hey, this is where you suck. This is where you need to improve. And, it's like a point of pride, especially, in my group, for people to get 100% compliant, or as close as possible, and I think like the last couple territory wars we had, 8 or 9 out of the 50 that were 100% across the board had everything exactly right. And the vast majority of everybody was 95, 96%.
Yeah.
And, when you're around that type of that environment, especially with kind of where it's like a little friendly competition, who can get their mods set the best and stuff like that. It does help with the gameplay, and also too, I don't know if you got the chance to witness us doing the mod Wheel of Fortune, where we get on and slice everything together.
I haven't. I didn't see that actually.
Yeah, we do that usually, I don't know, once a week or so. Usually it's random too. Somebody will be like, hey, I'm going to slice mods. And then next thing you know, there's 10, 12 people in there slicing together. And it seems like whenever you do that, everybody wins.
Yeah, yeah.
For some reason, somebody's always going to get a 1 or 2 plus 20 speed secondaries or something. And then everybody has an idea of where to put each mod.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that same old adage, that more eyes on it. Sometimes I'll roll one and I'll think, that'll go good here. And then Parker or somebody will say, hey, man, that's a perfect mod for this tune.
Yeah,
You go, oh man, I wasn't even thinking about that. So it's great. Having a strong community, trying to surround yourself with like-minded individuals really does take you a long way. As long as the attitudes are right and everybody has a sense of accountability, I think it works out all right.
Well, that was the thing. It's like the guild I was in before was a great guild. It was really tight knit. The people were really fantastic, and we did a lot of chatting and stuff like that, and we had like a good thing going on in chat. But it was just nothing like this in the sense where it's like, okay, everybody, let's this is what we're trying to get from these teams. This is how we try to get as close to if you have any issues with the battle, you don't know what to do, just tag somebody and see if they can hop in and walk you through it. And like I tried a counter against the Galactic Legend Ray this last Territory Wars I've never attempted before. I never even knew existed, and it worked perfectly first time. And I was like, well, hot damn! And I didn't have to change any of the mods because I was only working on trying to get a couple of things compliant before the Territory War started. So it was like, I have my Jedi. I don't know if they're modded right. Like, we're going to see, let's see how it works. We'll give it a shot. All right, cool. There's like only 4 left. I'll try this one that hasn't been tried yet.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fucking great. It really was. It was like, it's like a whole new world. Like the game is great for the people that play it, And especially when you get that kind of team effort and everybody's coming together, like, okay, this is how we're going to do it here. I think, it was, I was really like surprised. Like I almost thought it would be almost oppressive, using like the call out bot and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know how I'll give this a shot and see how I like it. But it was like, everything was great. Like just, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah. We were kind of late to the show, using the hot bot for that. And everybody kind of had the same philosophy. Well, I don't want to have to declare which team I'm going to use and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I think there was a lot of people that initially thought it was almost like a negative thing where, the big bad officers are watching you to see if you screw up or whatever. But, I think it forced a lot of people to really analyze the team they select more before they actually call it out. And then you don't waste time. You're not wasting time looking at teams that somebody's already tagged or selected to attack. And also it gives us a good opportunity after the war is over with to go back and kind of analyze, like, okay, well, this person struggled with, this. Well, what was it? Well, then you go back and you check the mods and go, oh, look, there was this one mod that was wrong and that probably caused this or that. Well, then it's a real easy fix. You're not upset with that person, and if it becomes like a long-term deal where after 3 or 4 wars, this particular player just can't seem to get past the SLKR. They always drop a battle on SLKR. Well, then, and you look at the mods and the mods are good. Well, you can go back and say, okay, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And man, this is one of my favorite examples ever of this. One of our best players, a guy named Quaid, who's kind of a legend around Shadowlands. He always struggled using CLS to kill the gas teams.
Huh.
And his mods are fantastic. Everything was on point. And he was like, I don't know what in the world I'm doing wrong here. And finally, it was like, okay, stream the battle. Let's just look at this and see what's going wrong. And it was his very first move. It was the very first move. That was it.
Yeah.
He was hitting CLS on the very first move instead of hitting Rex. And it was like, hey, dude, hit Rex on the first move with Han. Hit Rex.
Get that stun and stop that TM gain going, and then
and this is a guy who mastered all the other counters that were extremely nuanced,
Yeah.
But it was just that first move. He was, that was all it was.
Do you know what
And
the funny thing is when you bring up that specific failure, that specific counter? I remember when I first saw the CLS counter to General Skywalker, and it was like a video on YouTube, and the guy was like, "Yeah, just go ahead and just open up on General Skywalker and just start working on him. He's gonna resist all those buffs, and it's gonna give you a bunch of turn meter." And like they had it all there, and it was really funny when the one time I tried it that way, I lost, and so I was like, you know what, next time, like when next time I tried it, I opened up on Rex and then went to town and won, and then I just kept winning, and it was one of those little funny things where I was constantly stuck behind that, or well, not constantly, but that first time when I thought maybe this counter's not so great was because the video I watched told me to open up on General Skywalker, and yeah, it was just it's like kind of funny that was it, because I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, we honestly would have never known uh, uh, what was wrong if it wouldn't have been for the hotbot.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that a lot of guilds kind of fall into is they will be very harsh on their criticisms of newer members,
Mm-hmm.
but then they overlook the fallacies of the guys who've been there forever, and which is something that every guild needs to make sure they never do. And but yeah, there was a lot of people that would have never just assumed that Quaid was losing that particular battle, because he's the man or whatever. But
Because he's
yeah,
so good
hotbot.
everywhere else, and then
But
it was just
but the hotbot data showed it, so it was just an easy, and it was like a 30-second conversation too, and it was fixed. And I was like, man, I wish we would have had this like 3 years ago, you know. I mean, I would have loved to have had Hotbot 3-4 years ago when we first started all this stuff.
Yeah, it's
It
really
would have
such
made life so much easier.
yeah, it's just an amazing utility, and it's one of those where, with everything, it makes me, because I've always been like I always like doing the manual stuff for mods and stuff, but I'm starting to think,
Mhm.
you know what, I think I do need to get Grand Ivory. I think I do need to get familiar with it, and I do need to start working on that way, just
Well,
because keeping track of everything that's pretty tough, and then trying to see how it translates down your roster is really hard to do manually. That's for sure.
well, have you seen? Well, I don't know if you've seen the new beta version of Hotbot, that the Hotbot utilities that I don't think they're out yet for everybody. And this isn't a big plug for Hot Sauce, but he's been working really hard on this, and I know there's a handful of people that are been playing with it and testing it. And not only can you do all the stuff with like Grand Ivory with it, with the through the Hotbot site link,
Yeah.
but you can like sit there and say, okay, I want to spend all of my ally points,
Oh, really?
and set it, and then just walk away, and the Hotbot will spend all of them for you.
That's amazing.
And then you come back and bam, they're all gone, and here's all the
Your
pulls
shard
you
shop
got.
currency and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So like I said, it's not I'm not here to plug for Hot Sauce, but I've seen it. There's a handful of guys that are already using it and testing it out in my guild, and I think a couple others there in Shadowlands as well. And yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Whenever it goes live to everybody else, I think it's going to make quality of life a whole lot better.
oh, yeah, I think so.
And it's a shame that CG couldn't do that themselves.
Well, it's more
But
like they just don't seem to want to. Do you know what I mean? That's
They
like,
don't.
They want
They
you
don't.
to forget about those ally points and just buy the whatever they overcharge for in the thing. They're like, okay, go spend 100,000 for like 5 omegas. There you go. There you go.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
I think they've got some sort of like algorithm type thing where they try to they track how often you log on
yeah.
and how much time you spend. And I think that their theory is, the more time they can keep you staring at their game, the better off they're going to be financially.
Oh, and I think that's 100%
So-
right. Yeah.
So taking what they do, taking hot sauce's deal, they probably frown upon that, but I think it's the most wonderful thing in the world because I've got a couple million of those damn points because I'm not going to sit there and click a button forever. And the one time I tried an auto clicker, just a standard auto clicker to do it, it somehow got off. And next thing I know, it spent like 2,000 crystals.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, so I decided, I'm just not going to do that. So.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like with those bronziums, it's like my nightly thing is like because my daily resets at 9 p.m. So there's like after dinner, there's a point where I'll be doing something and it just like I'll have my phone out and I'll just be not looking and just popping those bronziums down every day so they don't build up because I don't want to be stuck there for forever because it's like what 7,000 a day after all your refreshes and everything. So,
Right.
yeah, and so it's something like when they build up, I'm just like, oh god, I just got to get these done. It's gonna get nuts, you know. And then, I do love the shard shop currency, that's for sure. But just the whole tedium of clicking through is just like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it gets kind of funny that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for Star Wars. Of course, this game's been around what 5 years now.
Yeah,
something like
5.5, something like that.
Yeah, which is a long time for a mobile game.
Yeah.
And in this comical, the people that are involved, the personality of the players, it's people at I guess my level of play where we're playing, like everybody kind of knows everybody, and everybody's been around for a while, and it's kind of hilarious because if you have an alt that's in a newer guild like an 80 million guild or something, 60 million guild, and really just trying to start out, that's where the vast majority of the players are still. If you look at how many people play this game versus the high end. The high end is such a small, super small percentage of the player base.
Yeah.
And those people that play down there have no idea, who Maw is, or Caw Patrol, or Wolfpack, or Shadowlands, or Team. They don't know any of that. It's just some name they saw when they happened to touch that leaderboard screen.
Yeah.
And they don't know. Yeah. They don't know who anybody is. That they don't get on any of these other Discord servers. They're not active in these chats. They're just trying to navigate the game.
Yeah.
And it always amazes me how the people at the top, they have a lot of them have these big egos where they think that they're really truly important and well known and kind of famous for a mobile game, which is hilarious
because it's like in your circle.
In your circle, and yeah, there's like maybe 1,500 players that maybe know who you are. Type deal.
In a game where there's like what 2 million players or something like that.
Yeah, 6 million players. Yeah. I mean, it's funny to see the egos that go around, and that's one of the part that I don't enjoy about the game.
Yeah.
Is I kind of wish that the overall gaming community was a little bit bigger.
Yeah. This is definitely a niche game with like and you do get those kind of like smaller circles and stuff. Like when you go and you look at like what I'm doing with the Twitch streaming and stuff like that, like almost everybody in my stream you're going to see in somebody else's stream that's also similar-ish, and we all know each other, and it's one of those.
Yep. Man, I'll tell you what though. There's this guy I met on Heinz's stream. Oh gosh, and he's one of their longtime guys. And I gotta open up Twitch because I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Anyway, I couldn't sleep one morning, and I got the notification that he had just started a show.
Yeah.
And I hopped on, and there was like it's Rico.
Oh, Rico, yeah.
And I logged in, there was like 7 people watching. And I was like, well, I'm going to hang out here. And of course, I gave him some bits and said hello and all this stuff. And he said, all right, I'm getting ready to start, the Sith raid. It's like, okay, cool. And he pulls out this JTR team that I had never seen this particular composition because we haven't used JTR in, like it's been over
ages,
well over a year. Yeah. But man, he had it down to an art, and he ended up getting 50, 60, 70% or something like that.
Yeah.
And in phase one, he finished phase one and then got like 30% of phase two with this JTR team.
That's
And
pretty rocking, actually.
he had it rocking. They were all like a Gear 12 tunes.
Yeah.
And he said, and the other people are watching were like, man, how are you doing that? And well, I'll show you. And I said, hey, be sure and show them how you have it modded, because that's obviously the most important part. And he went through all the mods and stuff, and the few people that were in there watching got a lot out of that. But he was like so happy with his run, and you could just hear this pure excitement and joy inside him, that I was like, I missed that. I remember when however long ago, when we first were able to beat the Sith raid, like on the second time we tried it, and it was like there was just so much this joy and excitement that we were able to do it. But it was so short lived, because a week later we had it on auto, basically.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, maybe sometimes I wonder if I've gone down the wrong route, because he is enjoying the game probably more than I am. And I mean, you could just feel it in him. Because he was given a tutorial every move, and when it would work out right and he would land the correct debuffs, he would count them up, and he'd, all right, we can keep going, and I mean, he was just so excited. And I'm sitting there thinking, once you get so high up, it's, instead of it, people get excited about a few little counters here and there that they think are super secret that nobody else is going to figure out, or something silly like that. But for the most part, a lot of the people that play up there, their motivation is just to beat another guild, or just to beat another personality.
Yeah.
That they always see in GAC or something. And I'm like, man, it would be nice to live for, I can't wait for that Sith raid to come back around, because I've got something special for it,
and I want that perfect run, and I work towards it. I remember when I first kind of started playing, it was around right before Darth Revan came into the game. So I was aiming at Jedi Revan. I got Jedi Revan just as Darth Revan was coming out. It was one of those, I was both happy and sad that Darth Revan was destroying Jedi Revan so well and everything. But the thing that was so cool was when G13 started to be a thing, all of a sudden I could just rule in the raids. Like I would go, I drop in P1 with my Jedi, with Hoda, because I went for him first. I was like, well, I'm so far away from Malik, whatever. We're going to just get Hoda, finish him out, got that. And then I remember getting like, I think I had a run of like 38 million or something with my Jedi, and I was doing like handstands. I was so happy. I was like, look at that, one team. It's like, it was my first ever like number one in the Sith raid. I was so happy.
And then like 3 months later, you got people soloing the entire raid. It's like, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So, now you're like, okay, so I've got to get in the first three minutes or so I can get a full solo of this. Otherwise, it's like I'll spend the 17, 18 minutes or whatever soloing as Kylo, and then I'll be like 14th.
Yeah, 14th, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, that new that Ranker Unleashed, the new challenge or whatever part of, it really has thrown a number on a lot of communities.
Yes, it has.
It's a shame too, because in my opinion on that whole raid setup is, it's more an exercise in time zones and getting people to commit to just following directions than it is technical acumen for the raid.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that was a piss poor decision for CG to go that way.
Yeah, I think it's probably the worst thing that they've done, actually, because that's really not what this game is about. This game is all about spending time when you've got time to do what you need to do for the day.
Because it's a mobile game.
Yeah, exactly. So for this whole scheduling thing where they have to coordinate and whatever, it's really funny because I look at it like this. It's like if if beating, say, territory battles, getting 3 stars in all your zones and stuff, and moving forward like that, if that is, like you've got your officer that coordinates that, or multiple officers or whatever, but they're like the legion captains, and you're just legionnaires, and you throw the shield, they tell you to throw the shield, or you go Tetsuoto or whatever, like you just follow your orders and you do what you do, and you do it on your own time, though, like not in the coordination part of it. But now it's a logistical thing. Like you're like UPS trying to get a package on time, and there's nothing fun in that. That's the biggest part. There's literally nothing fun in that. Like if they literally made it so like you had to only use one team per phase or something like that, then I mean I would imagine that would be something they could have coded if they wanted to. At least then you can do it on your own time. Like you.
Well, if they wanted to do it the way that they've done it, what they should have done is they should set it up to where you get so many points when you launch it, and you could have 5 groups of 10 go in at a time.
Yeah.
And then the people that had time to do it, great. And then when then you could coordinate it that way. That would have been a much smarter way of doing it, because that way everybody would get a chance for top rewards. And then the people could do it when they had time. Doing it for 50 people is a mistake.
Yeah, and it's the same kind of thing that they try to do with Sith Raid, which obviously predates me, but I can relate. It's the rewards are pretty imbalanced towards the top again, for what people are going into with the raids, and with a raid like this, once again, that's not good, because this is all about coordination. So like what happens if you see somebody get like half your guild or whatever get these great scores you're not going to get to? I mean, you're probably going to be less motivated to do it, and it's weird because I'm not saying that would affect my motivation, but I could definitely see someone being like, well, fuck it then, like I'm not going to get anything out of it, so why bother? I'm not going to I'm not going to stop watching my movie to hit this time because okay, I'm going to get 25th.
And since it only takes 12 people to beat the raid.
With the right tools.
But so if you honestly think about it, I mean, 3 months from now, that's what it's going to. I mean, well, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You're going to have 12 people. In my guild anyway, there'll be 12 people that'll do the raid,
and they'll fight.
And then there'll be 38 people that'll wait till in between TW and TB, and they'll go merc.
Yeah.
And they would rather fight against other people than our own for those top 10 rewards.
Yeah.
And like that's fine and dandy, but at the same time, like it's lost. It's supposed to be a guild event.
Yeah.
And so it's really not. And that's the only thing I don't like about it. I mean, and the bad part about it is those Relic 8 materials. I mean, those and the mod slicing materials for the Galactic Challenges. Those are the most valuable,
most important things
currency in the game.
Right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for someone like me, like because I'm very GAC focused and whatever, and I try to keep my top 80 low while I'm trying to expand the lower end of my roster and stuff like that. Like I'm not really gonna place any Relic 8s that don't immediately like help something that in that realm. Like maybe I'll do it for something like General Skywalker or Vader or Kenobi, or these ones that bring up the stuff that kill Galactic Legends and or the ship meta. But it's like for me, I'm not really super motivated by getting those mats, and I'm going like, well, I know I need some because eventually there'll be like requirements for Galactic Legends that are coming out. Eventually they're going to be requiring level Relic 8s. So I'm going to need to have some of these. So let's just make sure I get some. And, I'll figure it out as it comes.
Yeah. I think regardless of, you can still focus just on your top 80. But yeah, you definitely want to have it on Kenobi. You want to have it on Gas. You want to have it on SLKR. There's certain tunes you want to have it on Ray for sure. The amount of health that it boosts to her,
it's probably insane.
it's very good, and not to mention if you can throw an offense set on her with a health set, becomes very difficult to kill.
Yeah.
Um, those types of things, man, you really want to do. It's going to help you in your GAC. It wouldn't
Yeah.
bump you into another bracket, and there's also other ship squads that don't require gear 12 pilots
Yeah. Yeah.
to be effective.
Yeah.
So by beefing up your Galactic Republic, it would really help you long term, because then you could throw that baby on defense, and as long as you knew you know what other crew members you need just to gear 11 or gear 10
Yeah.
to be effective, you would have a really big advantage on most of your GAC opponents.
Yeah, like that's one thing I am noticing is specifically like in the territory wars I saw where there's a lot of relic 8s already up at the top. One of the things I noticed is that our relic 8 Kenobi fleets were holding very well, and the other one was our relic 8 slackers were holding very well. And that was a it's one that, like, when you look at the stat gains, he gets what, like 600 offense or something.
But it's that modifier. It's the modifier that
it's that
really
mastery right
changes.
there.
The mastery modifier
thing, and it's kind of nuts because it's like, yeah, of course he'll ramp up a lot faster, and then he'll just be like one-shotting people a lot faster. It makes sense, and once again, it's like when you look at just the numbers, before it was the abstract for me, and then when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is like these Relic 7 ones are getting one shot. The Relic 8s are holding, 1-2 times. And it comes down to just that little thing. And, once again, it brings back to like just seeing it versus rather than just thinking about it. And it's kind of crazy, but it definitely made, like, now that I'm seeing it, going like, maybe these Relic 8 mats are a little bit more important.
Right.
But those new mod slicing mats, those are gold dust, just gold dust.
They are. One thing I think people forget when they're looking at just the numbers on these tunes is they need to be mindful of their kits too. One of the best examples is one of my favorite ships in the whole game is Gar Saxon's ship.
Oh yeah, the Gauntlet. Yeah.
It's, most people don't realize it's actually the fastest ship in the game. If you look at its actual speed, it looks really super low. But if you look at its kit, you put him in an Empire lineup, and at gear 12 on the pilots, gear 11, gear 12, it's the fastest ship in the game. You take him into relic territory, and he's lightning fast and very beefy, hard to kill. And everybody's like, well, who cares? He doesn't really do anything, but he does.
Well,
it goes back to his kit.
That cleanse is amazing.
He's got the cleanse, but more importantly to me, he's got the buff immunity that he can kick out. And, throwing him, on an Empire team against these Relicate, like Galactic Republic ships, man, he gets to go early. You put that buff immunity on Anakin.
On Anakin there, yeah.
And then next thing you know, they can't get the Valor out. And if they can't get the Valor out, you have essentially just cut the nuts off of Kenobi. He doesn't get all. They're not speeding up. They're not going to outrun you.
Yeah, they're not going to get all that turn meter and go. Because that's actually one thing that I do. Because when I was running with my like the Rex team that I really was like a proponent of early, it was all about the turn meter. Like, it was like getting Y-Wing was super important just so I can get that extra turn meter over the other negotiator, because they were all running Houndstooth at the time.
Right.
So it's like, once you get the Y-Wing in there, you get the extra turn meter. If you can also land a buff immunity on their Anakin, all of a sudden they're cut down to like only plus 15% turn meter, and you're getting plus 45% turn meter.
Right.
And you start really moving.
That's right.
You get Rex throwing turn meter over to Anakin, and suddenly they're down to like one ship. Like by the time they can do anything about it.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of those ships, the Galactic or the Old Republic ship. There's a couple of them that put out that buff immunity.
Yeah.
And if you're a smart player, you can piece together some teams that can work around those relic 8s, because with the relic 8s using the standard counter, you're going to have something that you can put in there that can disrupt it.
Yeah.
So, but not everybody's going to think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be ready for that. So, you know, everybody that really wants to have a lot of fun with the game needs to learn the kits. You know, because there's a lot of guys I play with that can instantly regurgitate every kit. I am not one of those people. I have to go back and relook on a lot of them just to double check, you know. But yeah, if you really get into the kits, you'd be surprised what kind of little teams you can put together, especially like in 3 versus 3 GAC, and 5 versus 5 too, you know. And you can come up with some pretty interesting cleanup teams for TW and so forth.
Well, that's one of the things I love about live streaming. When I do go on Twitch and I'm doing my GAC, is like I'll be like, well, I think I'm going to try this team here. Someone will shout something out that I've totally forgot about a kit, right? And I'll just be like, oh shit, really? And you go and you look and you're like, you're right. That would have been a bad day. That would have been a bad day. Thank you. Yep. Yeah, like, thank you for reminding me of that, sir. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You just stop the drop right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of GAC, like how do you prepare for 3v3 versus your 5v5? Does it change a lot, or?
Yeah, absolutely. 5 versus 5 is to me is pretty easy. You kind of know. Well, first thing you want to do is you want to look at your opponent's GAC history, see what kind of trends that they do, what they like to set on defense, like what they like to use on offense. And I'm sure everybody that listens to your show knows this, but I'm gonna repeat it anyway. You know, you can go into the .gg and pull up your opponent, and you can see everything that they've done.
Yeah, ever. If you go and you alter the URL, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know you can do that, but if you take that GAC number and you start dialing it back, you know, you can see every single GAC that's stored, which is amazing.
You can see everything. So there, you'll see that they have certain squads that they really favor.
Yeah.
Versus different things. It allows you to set your defense appropriately. You know, I think it would be a little bit easier if you didn't have like a fully maxed out roster. And I don't have like necessarily a fully maxed out roster, but I don't know. I don't know. I've got somewhere around 100 Gear 7 or Relic 7s or something like that.
Yeah, that's
something silly.
It's a pretty complete roster.
but you know, so all my opponents have the exact same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think it would be more fun if you didn't have a complete roster.
Yeah.
That way you could kind of pick on their deficiencies more. Where, you know, now with me, it's all about how they have it modded.
Yeah.
You know, okay, well, if they've got a super tanky Bastilla Sean Fallen or something, well, I can't use my bounty hunters there, so I better plan on using them somewhere else, you know, type of deal.
Yeah.
You know, but if they got a super fast Bastilla Sean that's low health and all potency and offense, well, I know exactly what I'm going to do there, so I can kind of plan it out.
Yeah.
A little bit better. But to be honest with you, the 3 versus 3, I absolutely hate it because there's just so many of those like fuck you little squads. You know, type of deal. And so a lot of times I just let the guys that I play with kind of pick the defenses.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know, like,
you're like,
you know,
yeah.
David or Yoda Force or whoever, Silas or whoever's online will be like, yeah, man, try this. I'm like, sure thing. Because 3 versus 3 to me it's fun. I mean, it can be fun. It can also be kind of annoying because it's the only place you're going to use 3 versus 3. So it doesn't really help you anywhere else in the game.
Well, for 3v3 for me, I always look at the thing where when it's announced, I'm like, oh fuck, 3v3, come on. And then the first week, I'm kind of like excited for it, a little bit energized because I'm like, it's different. You know, I don't know what I'm gonna do. There's a little bit of like, you know, like, oh, what did I do last time? What was that? There was a team that I used last time that did really well. What was that one? Damn it, I can't remember. And then like that second week, you're like, all right, I know exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be able to deal with this or this or this or this or this. And, you know, the way they like to attack, etc. And then by week 3, I'm like, can we have 5v5 again? And by week 4, I'm like, can we just never do this again? Like,
Never do it again.
yeah,
Yeah,
like it was exciting for the first 2 weeks, but then it's like, oh, okay, just one more week to go. Just one more week to go. Like,
I like I said, I prefer the 5 versus 5. Um, I like the fact that they've kind of made some of the maps bigger.
yeah,
For Grand Arena, I wish they would do that with Territory War too. My
yeah,
dream is for them to take the Territory War board and go back to what they originally did when they first launched Territory Wars and have it 35 squads per zone.
oh wow,
If they would do that, it would totally change the whole landscape of everything. And I think that you would find more guilds enjoying it
yeah,
because because then it stretches everybody really thin, and it allows you to put so much more on the board.
and
And
ask more questions of their combined rosters, essentially.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
I think that would be a lot of fun, and I think it would be fun even for smaller guilds too, because
yes, that's right.
it would be like the return of the shitty Phoenix wall and the Ewok wall,
And
like,
Ewoks, yes, it would.
yeah, and little things
Rogue
like
One,
that. Yeah,
yep,
the fun stuff that you just don't use
yeah,
anymore. Like, I haven't touched my
yeah,
Ewoks since with the exception of cleaning up the odd Grievous since I got C3PO, so they're still like
right.
G10, G11.
That's exactly right, man. I mean, I would love to see him go back to something like that. Me personally,
I would
but
absolutely like them to make the GAC board bigger. Like, when they added the
yeah,
extra fleet, I was kind of okay with it because I had 4 fleets, even though I was in Div 2 at the time. That I was like, I've got 2 bad fleets and 2 good fleets. I think I'm okay, and it turned out to be really good because I wasn't facing that most of the time. And then, I get into Division 1, and right at the bottom of Division 1, my roster was really stretched. Like, it was really hard to get everything with the way I wanted it and
right,
stuff. And now that I'm at like 5.5 almost, it's like I'm in a spot where I'm like, I have too many teams. Like,
right.
what am I leaving out? What do I need to keep? What's not going to help me on defense that might help me on offense? All right, so I can bring this, or I can
Yep.
start doing thing where I push 2 teams together to get more out of the mechanics and stuff. And I'm sitting there going like, well, what happens when I have 6.5? If I've got
Yeah.
like basically 17 teams right now, or almost 18 teams, what happens in another million GP when I've got another Galactic Legend or 2, and I've got all the parts that go with that, so I'm going to end up having like over 20 teams. And then it becomes like you were talking about with Territory Wars, where you're just facing the exact same stuff every time.
Every time,
And it
yeah.
comes down to modding.
For CG to have a successful GAC or /TW experience, 60 banners should not be the norm.
Yeah.
If 60 banners is the norm across the entire board, it's not right.
Yeah. Something's wrong there.
What should be a rarity is being able to finish without just dropping a battle.
Yeah.
That should be a rarity. Where 99.99% of the players go through their entire GAC round and at least drop 3, 4, 5 battles and are forced to dig deep to figure out how to beat something.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. The fun part is figuring out how, what kind of kit are you going to need to clean this up?
Yeah.
And it's just not there right now. It's just not.
As they add these new teams, especially when you look at something like Beskar Mando, the new team that's kind of come out, they've got great recovery. So if you take them on offense, you're pretty good at killing stuff 5v5, and not only that, you're probably going to get full banners because of the recovery that's in that team.
You are,
and it's like, that's great and everything, but all it does is like it pushes another offensive team that wasn't getting 60 banners onto defense or onto the bench, right? And so
correct.
You're still just making everybody a slightly more efficient, and it like, that's one thing I'm not a fan of, is the efficiency battles in GAC. Like, I love stopping my opponent. Like, full stopping my opponent is the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, last week I had a round where I placed a defense that was so, like, the bottom front was just nasty. I was like, there's just no way he's getting through this in one. And he started off his GAC with 3 straight losses, one at each of my front bottom teams, and I was just like, oh, I was like, this is my proudest moment. Oh my god, it's happened.
Oh yeah,
You know?
to me, I think what would be better it would make it a lot more fun if they would actually, instead of giving people points for being able to clear with full health and protection, is give your opponent points for all the holes.
Yeah.
So if you get a hole, then that's an extra 20 points or something.
Now that
You
would be
know,
cool. That would add a
now
really interesting element to the game
yeah, it would.
where
Yeah, suddenly people would be modding for defense, not for offense.
yeah.
I mean, it would be well. Actually, it'd make both of them equally important.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you have a sloppy attack, then they're going to get 20 banners or 10 banners even. I mean, that would be
Yeah,
giant. Could you imagine like not full clearing, but getting and they full cleared you, but they did it so poorly that you got where
that
you're
you got the win.
yeah,
Yeah, you
and you're
get the
like
win.
looking
Yeah,
at their teams. You're like, I have nothing for that. I'm not going to attack it. I have nothing for that. I'm not going to attack it. I have nothing that's going to get through that clean. Let me see what he does on offense, and if we get some point allotments, I'm going to try to attack that team right there. I think I could take it with this in one. Like that would be
right.
so much more chess, you know?
It would be, and think of it like this too. I mean, the way I look at it is, if I put together a three tune squad or 5 tune squad, and I go in and I win. Why should it matter if I walk out with all the characters at 5% health or 100% health?
Yeah,
If I can kill it with that with and walk away with 5% health, that's a win. I can't reuse the tune, so why
yeah,
does it
yeah.
matter?
Well, and just on the health and protection thing alone, not even on points on the defensive holds. Like I look at things that are great counters, like something like say Night Sisters. They're so great at killing so many teams, but you're only really ever getting 55 banners if you're lucky. I mean,
Or or General Grievous even.
yeah, yeah, it's another one. Amazing on
Yeah,
offense
yeah.
if you don't mind the banners.
If you don't mind the banners,
Yeah,
that's exactly right. You know, so I mean, you can sit there and kill a lot of things with it, and yeah, I mean, I think that's just a poor way of looking at it. A win should be a win,
yeah,
and taking the time to cultivate your defensive teams and thinking about their kits. And honestly, you're depending on the AI to play it right, and the
yeah.
only way you can help that AI out is
By
by
modding.
knowing how to mod it.
Yeah, getting turn orders set
So
up, dialing it in. I just think about my last opponent that I faced. I got probably the highest score I've ever scored, and the reason is the guy just set his Ray, and he set cheese. He just set cheese. He didn't set anything good. Like he literally has Black Legend Ray. He didn't set his like post sandwich. He didn't set Grievous. He didn't
yep.
set. I'm like going through all this stuff. I'm like, what were you trying to do here?
Well,
Like,
he's going all offense. He's going to go all offense on you. He's going to hope that you struggle on that one team,
yeah,
and then he thinks that he has so much he can go through perfect and still beat you.
yeah. And the first thing I did is I went and killed Ray,
Yeah,
and it was like, okay, well,
yeah,
when I opened up
absolutely.
the back, it was like there's just nothing here. It's like one of those. I was like,
Yeah,
all right, we're gonna get about 3 solos. Pretty sure we can. We don't even have to. We're just gonna go on the rest. We're just gonna do it nice and clean. Bang, 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 bang. It was like, okay, 2672. I'll take it. He didn't set his premium fleets. I was expecting maybe those premium fleets back there to go along with Ray. Like there was some sort of way he's gonna get me to drop banners and/or drop fights, and they just weren't there. I was like, okay.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
his first attack was on my slacker, and he lost. So I was like, okay, well, there you go.
Every great once in a while, we'll come across a guild that does that to us in Territory War 2, where you sit there and you think, okay, well, they're going to have this and it coming up next, it's coming up next, and you get to those back walls, and it's total junk.
Yeah, they just said cheese
And
for you.
they're just hoping that that you play conservative enough to drop enough banners for them to become in contention against you.
Yeah,
And it's like that theory could work. You would have to be really sloppy with some very, very conservative counters.
yeah, yeah,
But if you honestly think about it, with the amount of tunes that they keep on adding to the game, uh, I mean, the likelihood of that happening is going to be slim to none.
and it gets lower every time a new team comes out.
Absolutely,
There's less
absolutely.
chance that you're going to be sloppy because, like one of the big ones that people still like struggle on from 300 million guilds all the way down to like 30 million guilds against Grievous. People lose banners and drops
Yeah.
against Grievous
Yeah.
all the time, and even at the
Yep.
top end. And
Yep.
you know, when they have something like Beskar Mando come out, all of a sudden you're like, okay, we're gonna give you a team that absolutely like smashes this. And not only that, like you're gonna have, you know, 20 banners in TW like pretty much every time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well now it's just gonna be cleaner again. You know, like it's taking that variance out and it's making it a lot harder and putting a lot more pressure on I guess your Galactic Legend counters and stuff and having those dialed in and things. But
Well,
there's
this other thing too. I mean, if you think about it, a lot of these new characters that they've put out, like this armor, or even going back to like a Moff Gideon.
yeah.
Man, dude, you don't have to have them 7-star.
Yeah.
You know, you can have them 3-4-star, gear 11, and they have a use.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're very free to play friendly characters, so it's not just making it worse at the top. I mean, it's honestly making it worse at the bottom too.
Yeah.
It's great that everybody's getting the characters, you know, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it's pushing more to where people just have to be efficient.
Yeah.
And you know, I think people are losing the art of learning how to play defensively too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because of it.
Well, that's one thing I notice a lot when I watch. Like I'll go on Twitch and just watch other streamers and stuff, and I'll see, and you know, sometimes I'll see some like really well crafted defenses where they're layering, trying to pull counters and that kind of thing. When you see it, you really appreciate it. But sometimes just like, okay, I set stuff that might pull some banners, and we're going to attack heavy, and we're overkilling everything and stuff, and it's an interesting one because they probably would have done better, you know, had they had like maybe a cleaner way of attacking with like a lesser team on some of these, and then they could have set a harder defense that would have asked a little bit more questions from their opponent. Because I always say, like, my theory on GAC is like make my opponent make the tough decisions, so it's just nice and easy for me. And
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like, and I'm with you on that. I think the art of defense or something is kind of losing out here in as they add more and more teams that can just dominate.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this: people that get these almost perfect scores, you know, where they get the 66, you know, over 60 banners they try to get, you know, the guys that go for like 62, 63 banners.
Yeah.
And they try to stack it. They're not setting tough defenses.
No.
You know, they're not. And yeah, it is what it is. But
well,
I
definitely.
I don't have any respect for that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I just really don't have any respect for that at all, personally.
Because usually it comes down to overkilling, or they're only taking stuff on offense that has incredible protection recovery, and you know they can run it like that, and they're like, all right, well, this one's going to absolutely smash this, so we're going to go in 3v5, and we're going to come out with full banners. We're going to have like 63 off that one. And it's all well and good to take, like, you know, Darth Revan and Bastila to go beat a first order team, but like you don't need to do that. Like that's not a necessary thing to do right there.
Yeah.
And if you set your Darth Revan on defense, you probably would have done better points wise, banner wise, in terms of the what you would have lost versus what they would have lost. Because you know, if you go against Darth Revan and they get moving, there's a really good chance you're losing some characters. You know, that's a bigger banner hit than those 3 extra banners that you got. You know, or 5 extra banners if you went in and got like a 58 using a Padme team or something like that, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you there's also a couple things that are wrong with their matchmaking algorithms.
Oh, totally.
There's actually a way to hack it. And I found this out by mistake, or not by mistake, but by accident or whatever. I had 2 funerals that I had to go to during a GAC week. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to sit this one out. I'm not going to have to worry about it. And because you know, I didn't really need the materials, even if I just didn't attack and let everybody walk over me.
Yeah.
You know, so I did. So I skipped a week.
Yeah.
I signed up the next week, and suddenly all of my opponents were people I've never seen before.
Yeah, because you lost.
Because my score from the week before was super low, so I got paired up with these people, and dude, like they you know, it was bad. Like literally, you could just sit there and just destroy every one of them, and just get those three Zetas, three Zetas, three Zetas,
Oh
three
yeah.
Zetas. You know, and I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, so if you go 3 weeks at 9 Zetas versus 4 weeks of fighting it out and maybe coming in second through
Yeah.
fourth, you're still coming out one ahead.
Yeah. Well, not only
You,
that, you can still get Kyber with 9
you,
wins.
you can still get Kyber. That's
So
correct.
you're going to have an easier matchup for weeks 2, 3, and 4 by sitting out the one and eating your 3 losses there, and then you have a pretty easy run all the way to Kyber.
That's right.
I mean, and that's 100% true. That I
That's
noticed.
that's wrong.
Yeah,
But it's wrong.
I set out my. I've done Kyber every single time I've signed up. There was one time I didn't, where I was going for Trapped in Carbonite, and it was like a December before last. It was 3v3, and I was like, I can't do this right now. I just don't want to do this.
Right.
I was traveling and stuff, so I was like, I'm just gonna sit out this whole season. So I just joined one week, and then I forgot to join the second week. But when the third week, when I joined again to get like the base materials, I noticed there that all of my matchups were like stupid easy. Like I literally,
easy, yeah.
if I auto set, I'm pretty sure I would have won most of them. Like it was one of those and not attacked, you know, like
Right.
Because
Right.
it was like, you know, I had a bunch of G13s and they were all just like a bunch of Zetas with G12s and stuff, and I was just sitting there going like, oh my god, like this is not good. And
But that's what it does.
yeah,
And you know, so I mean, and since I discovered that, I've noticed that there's a lot of guys that around the top that honestly just don't have time for GAC, you know, because you know they will do whatever,
yeah,
and they do that. They'll sit out 1 week and then join the rest of it just to get those easy matches where so it doesn't take very long. They just fly right through it, collect their materials, you know, call it a day, and I'm sitting there thinking like, well, that's kind of like defeats the whole purpose of having the whole game mode.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
it defeats the purpose of having a month-long event.
yeah,
You know, like
it
that,
does.
it would have been better to keep it a week to week if that was, you know, if that was going to be an option where you can just go, well, you know what, I'll sit out this first one and then I'll go 9-0
Yeah.
for the rest of the season. And,
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, I mean, somebody like you know, like me, I mean, you know, like I mean, I kind of felt sorry for some of those guys, you know, because I was like, you know, I'm looking at how with their mod
shit,
depth
sorry.
and all that stuff, and they're sitting there going, well, damn, you know, like, you know, they had to, you know, just look at me and go, well, shit, what am I going to do? You know, so then, yeah, they would just set an auto defense or I had a couple opponents that just set like one team and that was it, one character and that was it.
yeah,
And you're sitting there going, well, okay, well, boom, you kill it, you know, you got your win. So yeah, I mean, to me that defeats the whole purpose of it, and it allows people to kind of use the system. You know, I think if you sit out a week, you rejoin, you should be in there fighting everybody that's got just as good a roster as you do.
or yeah, similar
You know?
lifetime scores or something like that.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, that's it, it's funny, the matchups affect so much in this game. That's what I'm always worried about when because I have I'm only like I round up to 2.1 million on my top 80, but I have 79 G13s, so I've got like so much depth. I'm always like 20 to 30 more G13s than my opponents. They'll have like 20 something more Zetas, 30 something more Zetas, something like that, and you know, and it's kind of a lopsided thing. And that's one of the things I'm worried about in terms of going up to taking characters up to like, you know, the Relic 5s for the new Sea Pit and everything like that, because I'm like, I only have 2 Galactic Legends, so I really have to mind my P's and Q's until I get all 4. Because if I start getting matched up against 4 and I've only got 2, then I mean, this is just going to be a hiding to nothing most times. You know, like a semi-competent player with a 2 Galactic Legend lead on you is going to kick your ass. And
That's
so
correct.
it's like,
Yeah.
and so it's one of those where like I think about the matchmaking on it defensively. Like I want to make sure I'm not getting matched up with that 3rd Galactic Legend guy, you know, the guy who has the 3. Like, so I'm always looking at like, okay, if I take my Vader to Relic 7 right now, it's really going to help me, but it could also kill the Galactic Legend that I might face. So I think that's worth it. We're going to push him to 7 instead of 5, you know, like that kind of thing, where I have to make these kind of like balanced decisions on how badly I want the matchmaking to start to go. You know, like
Yeah, I can see that. I can easily see that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I have some like viewers specifically, they have like a similar account to mine. You know, 2 Galactic Legends, similar amount of G13s, etc. But they've got like 10 more Relic 7s than I do, and they're matched up against 3, 4 Galactic Legends off and on, and it's just like, oh man, like you'll see their matchups and you're just like, ooh, Jesus. You know, like
Yeah, that would be tough. That would be real tough.
yeah, and it just comes down to the Relic 7s and you know, Relic 6s and Relic 5s, because those add like, you know, 2,500 GP every time, so you can spiral out of control. You go from that 21 to 22, like 2.2, sorry, from 2.1 thing, and all of a sudden there's like that third Galactic Legend sitting there looking at you.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, yeah, that's definitely something everybody should be aware of.
Yeah,
To be smart about
seriously.
what you add to your roster. And that's one thing that I do like about like these new characters like the Armor and Gideon and stuff like that, since you can use them at gear 11.
Yeah, you can keep them out of your top 80, and
You
they're
keep them
very
out of your top
effective.
80. Yeah.
Especially Armor with C. That's just disgusting how good he gets with that 2 stacks
Yep.
of Beskar on him right off the bat. Oh, baby.
Yep.
Like
Absolutely.
like that's it's one of those. It's like I expected Beskar to be sort of, you know, sorry, not Beskar, Armor, sort of like a light side Wat Tambor, but I was expecting it to be like an Epic Confrontation or something like that, because I mean, when you look at it, you know, they're looking to add 2 more Galactic Legends in probably what, 3 months, 2 months, and
Yep.
and in those, and when that happens, you're going to start facing off against guys with 6 Galactic Legends probably day 2, you know, like that have been hoarding energy and doing all that stuff and making sure that they can get them all to like Relic 7 day 1, get all the tickets
Have
they
all
need,
the
etc.
Zetas.
Yeah,
Yep. Have all the
exactly.
Zetas already saved up.
Yeah, they'll have like 10, 20 Zetas just sitting there waiting to be spent, and you know, like, oh well, they're gonna release these marquee characters, and they're probably gonna have a Zeta, so I'm gonna need the Zetas for them because they're gonna be good Zetas, like on, you know, Piet Gideon or Fost, or, you know, sorry, Fawcett or Hux or something like that. And it's like, and then we'll have those new characters or whatever, and you know, um, and it also becomes a thing where once again, then you have to start going, well, how do we kill 6 Galactic Legends that may or may not be on defense? You know, and then so there's like, we need another Thrawn, 100%. We need another Fracture. I'm gonna go ahead and say we need another Isolate too. Like that needs to be a thing, and we
Another
absolutely
Isolate,
need another Wat Tambor. It just, we need it.
Yeah.
And it's a strange one because you're gonna get those matchups where suddenly you're gonna have guys with like 3 Galactic Legends facing off against someone with 6 instead of 2 to 4, and it's just gonna be even uglier because that's half of the board. You know, like unless they make the board bigger, that's half the damn board.
Yeah, I think once you get to 6 Galactic Legends, they will have to do something.
I think they'll be forced to
they'll have to.
add 4 more teams. Like, I think they're gonna have to make a new division at the top of Division 1, and I think that's gonna have to add, like, I want to say 4 teams, so 2 more to defense at least. You know, they don't have enough fleets to make it 3 fleets, so it would have to be, you know, the 2 fleets and then two more squad defenses on top of the thing, and that'll require you to have 4 more to think about for attacking and stuff like that. And it's almost weird that they didn't do it when they added the 2nd fleet.
You would think they would have, yeah.
My only thought is they probably don't want to overwhelm, you know, so they're like, all right, we're gonna add this here, 1 more fleet, and then we're gonna give them like 6 months to stop whining, and then we're gonna drop some more defensive teams and see how it goes.
Right. Yeah, I would like to see them. I mean, when they get to 6 to 8, I mean, Galactic Legends. I mean, Jesus. I mean, the whole territory war board would be nothing but Galactic Legends.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, at that point, you know, I mean, they're going to have to do something, or people will just stop caring about that particular game mode altogether.
Or more importantly, people might stop playing, stop spending.
That's true.
Like if they sap the enjoyment out of these game modes, then easily people just start spending their entertainment budget elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a big worry for them, because we, like I said, we all know the Galactic Legends are coming. They're coming. We just don't know how they're going to make the game still enjoyable with them on the board.
I think too, you get 2 more Galactic Legends coming in. you're more than likely going to see people starting to max out the new territory battle, the light side territory battle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That'll come after 2 more hit.
Yeah, because
Because
right
then
now the
everybody,
top GP is what 9.7 or 9.8 in the game or something like that. The
yep,
top GP
yep,
player. Yeah.
yep.
So with 2 more Galactic Legends, with what looking at the what was necessary for JML and C, you're gonna say what 15 characters needing
Mm-hmm.
G13 on top of that, so it's 30 more G13s. So, I mean, yeah, you're looking like right there. You're gonna be adding, God, easily a million GP
Yeah,
to each
well,
roster.
yeah. Of course, you add another light side Galactic Legend. That's another combat mission that people are going to be able to get 4 out of 4 on.
Yep. Yep.
That'll make it easy. So yeah, all that stuff's gonna come into play. So yeah, it'll hit, and then that'll all be on auto. That'll start going on auto for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then we'll just have to do something different after that.
Yeah, yeah, and
I mean,
the question is like where do we go from there? I would imagine they'd give it a year of people hitting it on auto before they release a new one that's going to be mega difficult. Um,
well,
just
see, how long has it been now? A little over a year, right?
yeah, it's like 18 months I think since Lightside Geo, something like that.
Yeah,
16
something
months,
like
something
that.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say that I would say I would hope by the end of the year they'd have something new to throw at us on
Yeah,
that. I would hope, but that may be a little optimistic.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
It's
here's another one too.
I
You
mean,
got to
I'd
think
love to
about this
see an
too. Now
indoor
that
one
yeah, I'd like to
that
see an indoor
required
one would be a lot of fun.
some Ewoks, and then you give you some special Ewoks to make an Ewok team good.
Yeah,
Like that
that
can
would
do
be
some
pretty
work.
cool.
That'd be so cool.
Well, and now here's the other thing too. You got to think about EA. Since they don't have the captive licensing anymore
Yeah,
for Star Wars games, how long will it be till Zynga or something gets out a new Star Wars game to kind of give Galaxy as a Hero a little bit of a custom competition?
yeah.
They're gonna have to really put out more content
To keep
to
everybody interested, really.
keep everybody interested. Yeah. Um, I know I've heard Zynga was, I guess they're developing a Star Wars game, and looking at
That
all
would
of
be
the crap
big
that
news.
huh?
That would be pretty big news.
You haven't seen it yet? They're developing it.
I didn't. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
seen that yet. I'm
yeah,
that's like this is the first I heard of it. I'm like, oh, holy shit.
yeah. Me,
Like,
me, yeah. Me and Cubs are talking about last week. But if you actually look at Zynga's game, their mobile game uh, library,
yeah, it's not
uh,
the greatest. I don't think.
no,
Yeah,
it's not at all. I'm almost thinking that it's going to be almost like a little kiddie Star Wars game, for like little kids or
I can
something.
see that. Yeah,
But that that's fine. But it won't be too long till somebody will have a new game
and there's
that'll give
yeah.
competition.
I guarantee there's going to be some company somewhere looking at the profits that Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes makes and says,
Hmm.
how can we steal at least half of that?
And
Like,
and give people something that they want. Their research and development team all it would take would be about 5 hours of just listening to videos just like this.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, if they come
Yeah,
and listen to
yeah.
all of my strat chats, I think they'll have a pretty good idea of what they need to do in the next game.
Oh, yeah. And then okay, here's what we need to do. We need to do this right here, and yeah, they could. Yeah, it will. CG will have to step up their game a little bit for sure
I really
if
hope
they want to
so.
keep people interested.
Although I will say there has been a pretty solid turnaround. Maybe like a year ago, I thought the game was in a really bad place, and I was
It
like,
was.
I was
It
not
was.
sure how long it was going to last. I wasn't shouting doom and gloom at the time, but it was like I was noticing that I wasn't enjoying the game as much, and that I wasn't like putting as much effort into it and stuff like that. And they have actively turned it around. Like I actually feel like the game's in a lot better place now than it was a year ago, which is
Oh, it is.
yeah,
They've done a lot of things, man. I mean, I love these galactic challenges. I actually really enjoy playing them. Um, I and all the new characters and stuff. The fact that they've made them free to play friendly is a good thing.
yeah,
Where you don't have to have them totally maxed out to get use out of them. I think that's wonderful. Um, the second part that I think where they've kind of missed is they haven't added really anything like total like new though.
yeah. There's nothing
They've added new
fresh.
characters, yeah, the galactic challenges are fun, but it's not really new. You know, um, I do like I do like the challenges that you have to kind of, or the feats that you have to complete. I think it's kind of BS to lock out people who don't have the 7-star Mando,
Yeah,
the best scar Mando.
yeah.
I think that was the BS move,
Yeah,
personally.
that was really a hard move to stomach. Like, I get they want to spur spending, but to get 5 extra slicing mats, people aren't going to spend the however many hundreds of dollars to get a
They're
character.
not, and
And,
and
and
those
so all it
slicing
is kind
mats
of like
are
a,
important.
yeah, they're super important. Yeah, yeah, and it's a weird situation because like where you are, where you've got all the major teams, Relic and mostly
Hmm.
Relic 7 and everything sorted. Like where I'm still missing stuff. Some of these galactic challenges are downright frustrating, like throw your phone upsetting. Like, you
Well,
know,
I can tell you this. Even some of the best players that I know. Matter of fact, we had our alliance wide chat last night. And one of the things that we did, that we do, is we always say, "Hey, does anybody have any problems with the galactic challenge that we're in?" And there was like a couple people that were like, "Yeah, I am. I can't figure out how to get this, the turn meter removal deal."
yeah,
Because of course they were just killing the characters off too quickly. But it was hilarious. People started streaming, showing everybody had a different way of doing it.
yeah,
Obviously, it's not one size fits all, and a lot of them were having a tough time replicating it, and they were getting frustrated.
yeah, yeah,
And I thought, man, that's what we need, though. We need more of that in the game, where it's difficult, where you have to really think about it, and you have to focus on what you really are trying to do, um, instead of it just being, impossible for the free to play, and then an auto button for the pay to win guy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean, if we can find a happy balance between that,
yeah.
we're
I
golden.
I'm definitely happy that they're not gimmies. Like that would have been like there's somewhere it's just too easy and you're just like, oh, okay, so I just run this team in here like normal
Hmm.
and I don't have to do anything. Okay, cool. Like and you get your stuff and you're good. So I don't mind doing a few attempts and trying something different. But man, it's so like I got so close on both the evade and the turn meter. I was running tier 7 with like a resistance mishmash with Han Solo to stun their Han Solo to start, and
Right.
I kept running it and I kept getting it down to just Ahsoka Fulcrum, and then Fulcrum kills my team, and I'm like, God damn it!
Well, yeah, it takes like 20 turns, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and every time she's doing it, she's ramping up damage. Yeah,
So
that's funny stuff.
I finally just ran it on T5, and I got to the second best gearbox. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just done. Like this one is done for me. People are like, you can do it. I'm like, I've done it enough. Done it enough. Like I was trying it with Jedi. I was trying to bring
Yeah.
in Supreme Leader Kylo to like lock up characters so I didn't get killed so fast, and like then they would kill Kylo with like he'd only take one turn. I'm like, how the hell is this happening?
Right. Right. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I tell you, those materials, I've been really enjoyed slicing the mods on those. I've had very, I'd say 70% of my slices using the new materials have gone the way I want it to go.
yeah,
Now, that being said, I've been very selective about which mods I slice.
yeah,
Where I like to do what I call a 50% mod.
yeah,
So 50%, half of the options that's going to hit, I'm happy with.
yeah.
And if it's a 75% mod, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, even better. So I prefer those. But yeah, man, I mean, I've had a lot of good speed rolls with the new slicing materials, and I'm really happy that they're doing it back to back to back to back now too, instead of just once a week.
Yeah,
That was really annoying.
I got I sit on mine and then I slice a bunch at once, because if I hit it once, I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? If I hit the
Hmm.
speed once, I'm like pretty happy. But like I don't I have this thing now where if there is a flat defense on the mod, I just won't roll it. I'll go find
Really?
another mod, just because I always hit the flat defense. Like I was rolling one for my Jedi Master Luke, and it was a protection primary cross, and it had like 19 speed on it. And
Right.
I was happy if it hit speed. I was happy if it hit health. I was happy if it hit protection, but there was also a flat defense. It hit
Right.
flat defense all the way up to 6A. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, I can tell you the ones that I go for, and I've actually been slicing new mods just to try to find these. You know, I want one that has a flat offense percentage, has speed, and then has crit chance.
Yeah. Because
Those are like unicorn
everywhere
mods.
you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, those are like unicorn mods, or I'll substitute crit chance for tenacity or potency,
Yeah.
because I mean,
That'll have a
kind
home
of
too. Yeah.
yeah, alluding kind of back to when we first started this conversation. Sometimes just increasing tenacity or potency on a kit will disrupt the counter.
Yeah.
So I'm always going for that. And man, I've been focusing solely on triangles and crosses.
Yeah.
My philosophy is everything on the left side of the mod board, your squares and diamonds and circles. It's easy to get the high speed secondaries on those.
It feels like
Well, if you take a look at
you
all
get-
your mods,
you get
you'll notice that
you get more
you
to
get more.
choose from on those squares, diamonds,
You
and
do.
and circles. So it's one of those where you're just getting like the
Yep.
shotgun approach there is a lot easier, whereas
Right.
it's like you get a
Well,
fraction
try-
of the crosses
yeah.
and triangles for sure.
Yep. Yeah, triangles and crosses do not drop. They have a lower drop rate to begin with, so then that makes them even more rare to have those speed secondaries on them.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been focusing solely on the right side. So every one of my or triangles and crosses, and that's all I've been using those slicing materials on. And I tell you, it really that's where you pick up all your extra speed. If you're trying to make a character very speedy, it's not the stuff on the left side. It's that triangle and cross that's going to make or break it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've been pretty fortunate on both of those. Is like until basically the other day, my two fastest mods were both triangles.
Yep.
I hit like a 26 on one and then a 25 on another one, and I had like a 24, and I'm like, that's kind of like my best stuff, and they're all three are like right there. And then crosses, I had a whole bunch of 20s that just keep hitting.
Last week I hit a 27 and a 28 both on triangles. And I was just like beside myself, ecstatic.
I don't
like,
doubt it. 28 on a triangle would be a fucking.
It was on the same. It was on the same day. It was on. They were back to back. I did them. We were streaming, and I literally hit them back to back. I hit one, and everybody was screaming, "Yeah!" And all that stuff. And then I was like, "I'm gonna do one more," and it went to 27, and everybody was like, "Holy crap!"
That actually happened to me 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I was just kind of fucking around, and I was looking at mod compliance, and I was like, okay, if I move this here, I'm like, it makes it a little bit slower. And I was like, I have some mats. I'm going to roll it at this. And so I rolled 4 mods. I rolled 6 attempts and 4 mods, and I hit speed 4 of those 6 attempts. And so it was like, all of a sudden I had like a couple of 19s that went to like 25, stuff like that. They were hitting 6. I was like, oh my God. Like, it's just, they were like, I've got the hot hand. And I got a 27, which is my fastest mod. I was like, this is incredible.
You never leave the table when you're on a heater, man. So
exactly, I ran out of mats.
You just got to keep on going. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I leveled up some mods that I had there. I hit like a couple of 15s. I was like, I really got to keep going. Like, oh my God, just give me this gearbox.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people that they really focus on the left side. You'll see these guys that'll have like, let's say 105 plus 20s in there, they're when you run their DSR bot or whatever, or the hot bot on them, it'll say 105 plus 20s. Well, that can be very misleading. You go through there and they've only got like maybe 10 triangles, and crosses that are over 14 speed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, their mods are horrible at that point. The depth of the triangle and the cross is what determines the depth of your mods.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
I just looked and I've been chatting your ear off for 90 minutes. I should probably. It's like getting dark in my place.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, I should probably.
has it
let
really
you
been
go.
that long?
Yeah, we've been chatting for an hour and a
Okay.
half.
How long do you normally do this thing for?
Usually like an hour. I've had like one or two go to about 2 hours. There was a point where I'm like, it's
Yeah.
dark in here. I was like,
Yeah.
how did you go like turn on a light? I'm like, I got somebody coming over that's probably waiting outside. I'm recording.
Well, sorry. I didn't know
Oh
how
no,
long.
there's
I
nothing
didn't.
to
I wasn't
apologize for. It was a great
I wasn't-
conversation.
I wasn't paying attention to the time, man.
Yeah. Kind of same here. It was just I was looking down and I was like, okay, we're almost at an hour. And then I looked down again. I'm like, we're at an hour and 29 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, I better be like, all right. But thanks so much, man. That was a great conversation.
man.
I hope to do
No
this
problem.
again soon.
Oh yeah, anytime I'll be happy to help you out, man.
Sweet. If there's obviously if you guys want to try your luck at getting in Shadowlands, you go over the Shadowlands recruitment server and you go submit your SWGOH and you might be dealing with Fulbright yourself. So there.
Yeah, just ask for Fulbright, man. Anybody that asks for me always gets me. So that's kind of how it goes.
That's the way it should be, man. It's the big boss of the alliance here.
Man, dude, the thing about it is in our alliance, this is no joke. The smallest GP account in our smallest guild has just as much access to me as any of our officers in the TI shell, and that's the truth.
Which is great. It's really fantastic,
Yeah.
especially one thing I did like a lot for the brief time I was there was in the alliance chat was really open and everybody was there and able to tag each other and chat, and
Yep.
it was pretty active in the actual alliance chat, which was pretty cool.
Yep.
It was good to see.
Yep. Yeah, we're very close, and there is no exclusivity. If when we're in our Rookie Roars voice chat, anybody can pop in there and talk, and anybody will talk to anybody. There's none of this, cliquish stuff. Everybody's open, and if somebody comes in, especially with a game question, all the joking and BSing goes away real quick, and everybody focuses on trying to help this person with a problem. So, I like that. Of course, we do a lot of joking around and BS and telling stories and stuff too. But whenever somebody pops in with a true question, it becomes all business real quick.
Yeah.
And it just because everybody's really passionate about the game. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a good place to be in my opinion. It's not for everybody though, not for everybody, but in my opinion, it's a good place.
Absolutely. Thanks so much again. And as always, guys, stay tuned for our next episode of Strat Chat. We're going to have another good conversation with somebody coming up in probably a week or two. Thanks again to Fulbright for being here. I really appreciate it, giving me this much time to come and have a chat with me. And it was a great chat talking all sorts of strategy, which is absolutely perfect for this for this forum. And as always, guys, you have a good one.